Good morning. It is Tuesday, November 19th, 2019. We are live in Indianapolis, Indiana! Last night, Monday Night Football in Estadio Azteca. Sí, señor. Not as great of a game as we could have imagined. Everybody thought it was going to be high scoring. It was not. Both offenses struggled. Is it time to panic in Kansas City? You've lost a lot of games this year that you didn't think you were going to lose. And then last night on Monday Night Football, in the thin air, everybody thought Patty Mahomes was going to air it out, maybe throw it 91 times. They had a little bit of struggles with the Chargers defense, who is getting healthy. Phillip Rivers throws 4 picks, 7 turnovers to end the entire thing. We have an ode to Phillip Rivers that is coming up. It feels like it's the end of the road for old Phillip Rivers, and I'm not happy about it. He's a man that I look up to, that I respect. I love that he chirps. We have a little bit of an ode to him. We talked to Kyle Williams, defensive lineman for the Buffalo Bills for a long time. LSU guy, lives down in Louisiana. One of the best golfers I've ever seen, and also a hilarious individual. We'll chat with him here in about 13 minutes. Also, Kyle Rudolph, big country from the Minnesota Vikings, joins us in the second hour. This should be a good one. 1-833-622-3331. Our Canadian illegal immigrant is on the phones. Gumpy, it's great to have you here. Evan Foxy, play some Chase Rice. Let's have a day.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Vacation, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is. Packed house in here. Beautiful shot there by Evan Foxy if you're watching along on the YouTube or DAZN worldwide. I am joined by a man who is a state police detective, a Marine. Todd McComas on the couch. Todd, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Better, I think, than the groundskeepers in Mexico City right now.
Come on!
I mean, they did the best
I was
job.
not impressed with that field at all.
Okay, the grass was coming up. We will talk about
Hurt
it.
my
They said
over.
they said for 2 weeks. Yeah, everybody had the over, I guess. Everybody really upset about the potential of nobody being able to run or move without slipping and sliding all over Mexico Estadio Azteca down there. DJ Nick Morato's on the ones and twos. Diggs is here. Ty, my brother Jason, Zito, Evan Foxy, and Gumpy's on the phones. Last night, interesting game. Chargers come out guns a-blazing. Even with throwing 2 picks in the first quarter, they were still dominant. I thought, okay, this Chargers team, just like last year, is going to get ridiculously hot. They're going to become the buzzsaw of the NFL, and they're just going to do it to folks. A lot of people taking the Chiefs pregame. I was like, oh, Randy had him. Louis Riddick had it. I think Steve Young had it. Stacy had it. Everybody had it, basically. And I was like, normally whenever that starts happening and the team is getting healthy on the other side, you can almost always go, bang, Chargers are going to get a win here. And it looked like it early. And the Chiefs even tried to give it away late. And that's why I think you should worry if you're a Chiefs fan. It's like, hey, that defense is starting to play now. Defense made Phillip Rivers look like a very mortal individual, even though he's had an incredible 16-year career. But for me, I thought the Chargers were going to get the win last night. I really did. I thought that was going to happen. It did not happen. It started out early. I think maybe that's the new thing with me. I think I'm in the current stage right now. Early, I was very hot. Now I'm in a stage where I will be able to tell you what happens in the first quarter, first half. I don't know how it's going to end, though. So I think if you're on FanDuel, you lock in the first half bets for everything I'm saying currently until further notice. Still
important. Smart.
Yes, still important. But that Chiefs team, they lose Tyreek Hill with a hamstring that Randy Moss said was going to happen, by the way. Randy Moss on the NFL Monday Night Football Countdown said right to the camera, he goes, we're in this high altitude. Pat Mahomes is going to air it out. These boys are going to be running. Look for them hamstrings tonight. He actually said that, and I was like, whoa, Randy, like that's a very you don't normally hear that. But that is something that only Randy Moss would know about, by the way, because Randy Moss was a deep ball getter. I would assume in Stadio Azteca at the altitude, 7,219 or something like that, over 150% of a mile up there in the sky, above Denver. The ball can fly, the ball can soar. And when you have Pat Mahomes, a guy who threw the ball out of a stadium before, you would assume that those deep balls are going to be an option. And lo and behold, first quarter, Tyreek Hill pulls a hamstring, and I was like, Randy. Moss knows everything. But that's real. Tyreek Hill being out is not good. Obviously, you saw their offense whenever he wasn't around before. It's not good. He is a dynamic player. Now, they have other weapons. They were able to win the game, but going forward, that's something you have to think about. What did you take away from the game last night, Diggs?
I thought the Chargers went away from – the Chiefs were giving up 5 yards of carry on the ground. Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon were having hell of a first half.
That Eckler dude, by the way, very thankful that Melvin Gordon held out because this little guy got an opportunity. He's number one in the NFL as a running back out of the backfield. I would assume Christian McCaffrey or somebody else was. No, that guy is. He's a little fella, but he really gets it done out there.
Yeah, and then in the second half, Melvin Gordon didn't have a touch or a carry in the last 20 minutes. Eckler didn't have one rushing attempt in the second half, I don't think.
How's that
They
happen?
just went to Rivers, and he's a turnover machine right now.
Easy. First two in the first quarter.
He is.
Zito, you felt like that was a personal shot there.
He took a big personal shot at me right there.
You a big Phillip Rivers guy?
Yeah, he has a lot of kids. Big family guy.
You are or he is?
He is.
So you like him because he's a big family guy?
Oh, yeah.
I respect that.
Also, favorite TV show.
Yeah, that's. I was piecing it together for you there. I thought that was potentially the reason why. But Phillip Rivers, they did put the ball in his hands to win it there. Hunter Henry takes some big shots, by the way.
Yeah.
He took some big hits yesterday and just got right back up. I'm like, I don't know if I would have been able to get up from that.
When he's healthy, he's great.
He's very good.
He's never healthy.
That's why I
He's
said
not.
when he's healthy.
It's a shame because
Well, he
he's
takes
stud.
monster shots. Like I think that's potentially the reason why is because he'll go into places that you probably shouldn't go, and he takes hits that I don't think he took one last night early in the game where I was like, I'm down in Mexico right there. I am. Down.
I love the atmosphere in Mexico though. It feels much better than London games. It feels like there's much more of a buzz and excitement. Yeah.
See, for me, I think my biggest takeaway, we lost, so that might have muddied my memories of the game there because we lost to Blake Bortles and the Jaguars, which we shouldn't have. We should have won that game, and we did not. He had expectations of winning. That's why I had celebratory vitamin things ready to go. What's up?
Isn't it a plus that it's a later game, though? Because Mexico is always going to be like a late game. Because England's always like morning.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but your
Like
time,
when you play in England,
the
what time
time.
is it actually playing? What
well,
time are you playing
it
at?
depends on what time zone you're from, right? So if we're the Eastern Standard Time zone, the world is much different than if you're in the Pacific. Even in America, that's the case. So when it comes to timing, I'm not sure that's really because anytime you get off of your normal routine, like the Chargers went to Denver and trained, or Colorado. They went to Colorado and trained. So they spent time away from their families to go train for this time that they lost. I mean, that's tough. That's a dumb boom. That's a.
Oh, so I'll say more like fan-wise, though. Like why they're more into it.
So
Oh,
some games start at 9:30 here. Some start at 1 here, which is 7 o'clock over there.
But in London, though, I thought it had good energy. And that might strictly be because the most memorable thing for me over there was, now granted, that was during the National Anthem. Cromartie came out. Our National Anthem thing was happening. And when they sang the American National Anthem, this guy sang it. He was an opera singer, sang very well. But there was still drama, right? And Tony Cromartie was taking a knee. It was almost like in the NFL, we wanted to move past. It's like, I hope this just kind of move. And then whenever they sang God Save the Queen or whatever it is, that entire place was wide open as if they were screaming it. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is awesome. And I think that kind of clouds my judgment on how I feel about their energy because the game literally started off with them all screaming at the top of their lungs the national anthem. And then they would whistle and they cheer differently, I think, than American fans do, right? Like clapping and whistling mean two different things, I think, over there for soccer players as it does for us. So I think they had pretty good energy when I was there. Now, it might not be every game. They have some stink games that go over there. But for our game, it felt good. But last night, down there, that felt like an Olympic atmosphere. Like that felt like a real atmosphere down there. And I think that's just a part of their culture. Like I think it's just a part of their culture to lose their minds down there. And a lot of football fans it felt like down there too.
Also, one of the cooler things I saw last night, I don't know if they sell popcorn or not, but instead of walking around with like popcorn, the one vendor was walking around with ramen noodle cups.
Top ramen cups.
Oh, let's go.
That is
Come on.
You want to
Big
get
ones.
you want to get people back in your
Big
stadiums
ones.
here in America? You get oodles and noodles out there for $1.50.
It was awesome.
Think about that. You want a beer for $7? You want this hot dog for $6? Or do you want these oodles and noodles for $1.50? Give me the noodles, please. And can I get the chicken seasoning? Yeah. And then can I get a loose leaf piece of American cheese too?
Oh, come on.
Put it in there and make the whole thing. That's genius over there.
Had giant sporks, too. I didn't know they made sporks that big. That was amazing.
Well, for oodles and noodles, you got to
Oh, yeah.
in there. You know what I
have
mean?
to.
Yeah, you have to. That's hilarious. Good for them. That field, though, a lot of ire from folks. And they said It's a soccer stadium, obviously. No concerts, which they said was the problem last year. Nobody's been on it for 2 weeks, so that is the best that field was ever going to look. And I thought it looked beautiful at the beginning of the game. I mean, it was coming up though. I think there's different styles of grass, which is something. There's like the bluegrass, the Kentucky bluegrass, and then there's like Bermuda grass, and then there's all these other types of grass that are good for different things. By the way, like one's good for soccer, one's good for golf, some are good for football. You got like that basic ass. Yeah, I can say that. Mid-level grass that is just good for like junior highs and stuff. Like there's different levels of grass. And I think, I mean, I'm no botanist, and I'm not sure if the botanist is the right answer for this, but their roots are different too, I think. So some come up a little bit easier or in different fashions. I think that grass last night was a particular grass that might come up in chunks much easier, which, by the way, soccer, the only time you're really sliding is during a slide tackle, which isn't regular. Football, you're on the field a lot. So if that's like good soccer grass, might not be great football grass, which we saw last night. There was people that it looked like they were on slip and slides there a couple times. That's a game changer, by the way, especially if you're playing against a fast team. Like, it's a shame Tyreek Hill couldn't stick around because he could have weaponized that grass for people.
Sure.
Imagine him just hitting the scoots and the person they're going to look like Mighty Ducks out here.
I think that grass is more used to 130 to 150 pound players.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there is different.
Because the people,
you're 100% right.
The players who said that they didn't have a problem with it were all the wide receivers, because I assume they're just
And it's
lighter
to their
and they're
advantage.
used.
Well,
Yeah.
and they know when they're stopping, so they can put the brakes on a little bit more. The other people have to be able to cut on a dime. Yeah, they were slipping and sliding all over the place. I don't know. We'll be back on the other. We got to get to a break. We'll be back on the other side with a guy who'll be able to talk about this. Big man. 290, I think he was. 300.
Oh, yeah.
D lineman for the Buffalo Bills for a long time. Legend of a man.
Officiated a wedding as well.
Officiated a wedding on Buffalo Bills Stadium. I don't know the name of it. I said the wrong name of it one time, and I got attacked. Like, this guy doesn't even know the name of our stadium. You're never on TV. It's on TV one time. I probably know it. That's on me. It used to be called the Ralph, I think. It's got a new name now, from what I've been told.
New Era Field.
There it is.
Oh, the hats.
New sponsor. I liked it when it was the Ralph, you know.
Yeah, Ralph Wilson Stadium, 1998 to 2015. So you were.
Long time ago. But I liked it then. You know, it's tradition. I'm an old school guy. So if you're coming after me, know that you're attacking from a millennial standpoint, and that's soft by nature. Ain't that right, Foxy? Come on. This does make me feel like I'm an old school guy, though. Like, back in my day, it was called the Ralph.
That's how the Sears Tower is for Chicago. People call it the Willis Tower. No. It's the Sears Tower.
That's what we've been saying this whole time on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Banker's Life, Conseco. Mm-hmm. That's in Indianapolis. Nobody knows.
Wait, Jose,
it's never on TV either. But I
Jose
wouldn't.
Canseco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose
He's the
Canseco.
sponsor.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. A lot of steroids.
And snitching. 10-14, Tuesday, November 19th. We'll be back with Kyle Williams. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. No clue why. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, Tuesday, November 19th, 2019. We are joined now by a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, a man who spent 13 years with the Buffalo Bills, an LSU Tiger. Go Tigers. Kyle Williams. Kyle.
Yo, what's up?
How are you, man?
What is with the mood music at the beginning?
Hey, listen, we can only use hack music because we didn't pay for copyright stuff. So everything.
It's like the swankiest house music I've ever seen or ever heard. It's amazing.
What type of music does Kyle Williams from Louisiana, who played D tackle for the Buffalo Bills, listen to?
You know, I'm such an eclectic soul. It would be hard to explain to you. But my rendition of "All Eyes on Me" is top notch. I've heard.
Ooh.
Really? Let me hear it.
No.
I thought for sure we were.
Have you ever heard the saying, "What you do well, don't do for free"? That's me.
I can respect it. Okay, you do this very well, by the way, and I have no idea what we're paying, but I'm excited to get to it. Colin Kaepernick, okay? I'm assuming that you have a thought about it. I'm not sure if you've given it anywhere. I'll tell you mine. I wish for one day he would have just played by the NFL's rules. I wish for just one day he would have set everything aside, went in there, and if the NFL screwed him in the end, then he can even say, like, hey, I did well. They're obviously doing it. It even builds his case even more. That's what I wish would have happened. Instead of now the narrative is, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to play at all. He doesn't want to do that. How do you feel about the whole thing?
Yeah, I think the thing is, if you live in the real world, how many times can you change your job interview site, do your own interview, and then when you're done, go after the organization that you're interviewing for? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, as I'm sure it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to him either. I'm sure he thinks he's doing the right thing. We all have a different perspective. It's just at this point, it's just become such a fiasco. It's out of control.
I agree. I'm with you. I think everybody, by the way, with a sane mind is on the same page here. They think, something probably did. A lot of shady things probably did happen for a long time. In this particular case, could have got back on the right step. Didn't do so. Who knows what's going to happen next? Who cares? Let's move forward. Monday Night Football. Chiefs-Chargers last night. That grass, and I was talking about, I think there's different styles of grass. There's grass that's supposed to be for golf, soccer, football. They said they had soccer turf in there last night. I think we saw the effects of that with bigger bodies and people on the ground a little bit more. It looked like it could have been a little slip and slide fest. How does that affect people, and who does it affect the most?
Well, it depends, really. I think, and you've been around the game, you see big guys, and you see such big, fast guys, and how they tear grass and turf and everything up. I mean, you can hear the ground literally tearing apart. And when you get a field like that, I mean, there become potholes for big guys, for little guys. Obviously the guys carrying the ball, I think, are affected the most. But when you have a sure-footed guy, it can come to your advantage. I think about playing in the snow a couple of years ago against the Colts with Shady McCoy. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's electrifying in general. Then you put him in the snow, and it's like he doesn't lose a step. It was amazing to watch. So, I think the cream always rises to the top, no matter how poor the field is.
Oh, great line there. Speaking of Shady, you said last night in the snow he was great. Last night scores a touchdown after a load management week off last week. How do you feel about LaShawn, not only as a football player but as a teammate, and also this forward-thinking mindset from Andy Reid, like, hey, I'm going to rest a guy who might be a little bit later in his career, who's at a position we need later on down the road? How do you feel about all of that?
Well, I've got a couple of things. I think Shady was a fantastic teammate. I think one of the things is, perception isn't always reality, right? So you see a guy who's in Philly who has some trouble there. We end up trading for him. We get him in Buffalo. Really don't know what to expect. But, Shady was all work, all business, great teammate, a lot of fun to be around. We used to argue nonstop, but in a loving way. It was a lot of fun to be on a team with him. And as far as the load management stuff, there's a handful of coaches that I need to get in hold of and be like, hey, what the hell's your problem? I don't really understand why you didn't get with the program and figure this out. I don't get it. Maybe I could have hung in there for 5 or 6 months more. I don't know.
Did you run out of gas there at the end like your truck's currently doing right now, or what? We lost him. He's dead. We lost you. Hold on. We lost you.
Mississippi River.
And you're back.
And,
Hold on. We lost you there. What'd you say?
I had to let a truck go by, so I didn't want to get everybody all distracted.
Out of sorts.
He's getting out of his truck now. The Bluetooth has just transferred over to his phone. We lost him there for a second, but he is out here saving lives.
No doubt. Look at this. I mean, that's an 18-wheeler, bub. Look at this. Look, Wild Blue Yonder. Look. Hey, I bet you never done this before on the Pat McAfee show. Go to all corners of the country, son.
Oh, he is on a dirt road right now out in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea how we are currently FaceTiming. I don't know how there's service out there.
If I can be totally honest with you, I totally forgot we were supposed to talk today, and then I got a text message this morning like, hey, don't forget about this. I'm like, oh, no. So I had to drive to the levee of the Mississippi River. I'm literally on the levee of the Mississippi River talking to Pat McAfee. I mean, life is good, right?
Where else? Where were you? Where did you have to drive from?
From my hunting camp here on the river. I've got a place here that I fish and duck hunt and do a bunch of different things on. So I was there doing some work, retired life. I don't know what day it is, so I'm out here doing my thing.
Have you heard Ducky Hodges, the Steelers' backup quarterback who should be the starter? A lot of people are saying. Have you ever heard him do a duck call? And can you keep up with that?
No, I haven't heard him, but I'm okay. I don't have my duck calls on me, but I can do it well. I'm sorry, I don't get your competition in for you, but I haven't heard it.
All right. Well, before we let you get back to the middle of nowhere doing your things in retirement life, by the way, Tuesday, November 19th right now. Tuesday, November 19th. How do you feel about the Buffalo Bills? They look like a good team. The AFC as a whole looks like one where a lot of teams could potentially get going here. Now, the Patriots, 9-1, their offensive struggled. Let's assume they'll figure it out. But the AFC kind of looks wide open, and this is a year the Bills' defense looks like they're legit.
Yeah, I think, as seasons go, there's always struggles offensively, defensively as a team. You kind of hit peaks and valleys. And, the teams that always seem to stick together, they always seem to figure it out. That's the reason I always say, hey, the Patriots are going to figure it out. They may be having their struggles right now, but, they're going to hit their stride and they're going to get rolling here before the playoffs. And I kind of look for the Bills to do the same thing. They've had some defensive woes. Looked like they shored them up last week. Josh has strung a few good games together. And I know that Sean McDermott is preaching continual growth, daily growth. Let's just get better. Let's not worry about, hey, tomorrow, who we got, what we're doing. Let's say, hey, today I'm going to get better. This play I'm going to get better. And then we're just going to stack those on top of each other. And it's such a coach speak type thing, right? People roll their eyes. They're like, but it's truly the only way to get better. I mean, it's the only way to progress as a team. So I'm excited about where the Bills are. They've got a tough stretch. But they've got some good home games. They still got the Ravens left. They got to go to New England again. But I think they're going to play well down the stretch, and I think they can make a run.
John, is that couple that you married still married up there?
Yeah, I actually saw them at a speaking engagement I had in Rochester and noticed them in the crowd and asked them how the honeymoon went. So, we're hanging strong on a month. It's the longest wedding that I've done. They've stuck together. So we're doing pretty good.
Kyle, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl, man, the way the Ravens are playing right now, I don't know that anybody would want to play those guys.
As a D-tackle, okay, so hold on. D-line, this is a big test. Lamar Jackson, keeping him contained almost seems impossible. Is that what people have to do? How do you stop that?
Well, so it's a double-edged sword. All right, guys, we got to stop the run. Well, you got to get after the quarterback. Well, don't go over there because he'll go over here if you go over there, and then you have to do this, and then you're like, well, you didn't get any pressure on him. And I'm like, you know what? Jump off a freaking bridge. You go do it. Playing against a guy like that, I played against Michael Vick. I never played against Lamar, but I played against Michael Vick, and just knowing, you're sitting in film room Tuesday through Friday, and you're just doing this. You're like, oh my God, But I just I lean on this thing like, hey, shoot or shoot, man. If you're gonna play, I'm gonna play the way I know how to play. I'm gonna be aggressive and I'm gonna get after you. And what happens happens. I'm gonna die rowing my boat the way I want to row it.
Do you think people try to change the way they play for Lamar and that eventually bites him in the ass?
I think that people are fearful of how to play him, so they may change some of the things that they do. And when you start getting away from doing what you do and doing it well, that's when you see big plays and things happen and coaches come up, well, we couldn't do anything with him. You try to do too much.
What everybody's saying that Lamar, if he can stay healthy, is going to be. If he can stay healthy. Is there anything in your mind that makes you think that Lamar is going to be able to stay healthy for the long haul? Maybe not just this year, but for 5-6 years.
No, just because of the track record of his style of quarterback. You know, I mean, it always seems like something happens. Because I can tell you, as a defensive player, you have a guy that can do what he can do. When he gets out of the pocket and he's running, he's a runner. So guys are going to hit him. They're going to put bodies on him. And that just kind of takes its toll over time. And the track record of injuries in the NFL is 100%. Doesn't matter what position you play, you're going to get hurt. And especially if you're exposed to as much as he's going to be exposed to.
That's why they didn't have me run the ball a lot.
Well, but here's what's crazy to me, and all the credit in the world goes to Coach Harbaugh. You go from a quarterback like Joe Flacco, pocket style, drop back, and he's able to recognize what he has in that guy and adapt their offense to suit him. If you watch, and I'm an option football junkie. I absolutely love it. I mean, my favorite game of the year is coming up is Army Navy. I love it. Yeah. The service academies playing triple option. I'm eating up with it. But the way they've adapted their scheme, the way that Coach Harbaugh's coached it and allowed him to play the way that he's played, I mean, Coach of the Year. I mean, the things that he's been able to do to adapt a total offense to what he does.
Why do you love the option? Just because it's meathead football?
Meathead football, it's precision football.
I agree. There's a lot of decisions being made. Very
more meatheaded than grabbing a football and go, I'm going to kick it really far.
We called a Navy game earlier in the year, and we sat down with the offensive coordinator. I forget his name. Good man. He did the entire thing. He's like, here's your run key, here's your pitch key, here's the whole thing. There's decisions being made like in half and eighths of seconds.
In a split second.
Yes.
In a split second. I think that's what's great about it. You make defenses play organized assignment football, and when you get a guy like that just has more than your guys on the team, like, hey, we're going to figure out ways to get him in one-on-one matchups. And the NFL is all about matchup. We get this guy in a one-on-one matchup, we're going to win 95% of the time.
Good for Harbaugh. Good for the Ravens. And by the way, good for you about to get back to your hunting camp. Good luck out there.
No doubt, brother. Look at this. I mean, good grief. Does it get any better? Sun shining. Jeez, man.
What's the temperature down there?
It's like 65 degrees. It's perfect. Oh. I can't believe I got reception, to be honest with you. I got that text this morning. It's like, oh, Jesus, God, I got to go.
I got to go. There's no way I thought that this was going to last, especially whenever we saw you early in the truck. Now that I know you're out in the middle of nowhere, enjoying the hell out of your life, giving great football synopsis. I can't thank you enough. 13-year NFL vet, all-pro, Buffalo Bill D-tackle, Kyle Williams. Thank you, Kyle.
Got it, guys.
Hey,
talk soon.
Hey, get your shotgun out. Ready? Turn that thing up. Quack, 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 quack.
It's pretty close. Close enough.
Any ducks coming around? Any ducks?
There's actually a few down there on the water. They were actually quacking earlier. I started laughing, but they're going away now. They flew off when you guys started all that.
All right. Hang up on Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Have a good one.
All right, boys. Talk soon.
See ya. Just out there in the middle of nowhere. What day is it? There was an 18-wheeler hauling ass on a dirt road. Like, dirt coming up behind it. It was like it was a movie there for a second. Good for Kyle Williams. Great synopsis, by the way, of a lot of stuff there. A lot to digest on what Kyle Williams.
He's very right about how you have to play the run because you just hold up the lineman and wait to see what Lamar does. But then you have no pass rush.
Yeah, and then he can sit in there and just dump it off to one of the lanes. Yes, exactly. There's nothing you could do.
It's insane that they won last week, though, without using the Heisman package.
That's a good point.
People forget. Only one of those guys in the backfield of the Heisman package have a statue.
That's true.
Shout out Foxy for documenting that. Foxy did a documentary on the RG3 statue, and RG3 saw it and liked it.
He appreciated it.
And Foxy said, I'd like to thank you in person on the Pat McAfee show. And he ignored it.
No response.
Left it on scene. If you've been thinking about your home security, there is no better time to get it than right now. Stop thinking, start doing. Get your home security right now. This week, Simply Safe is offering listeners of this show the best deal of the year. Not of the week, not of the month, not of the day. The best deal of the year. You'll get 25% off any new system plus a free HD security camera.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
I get standard def televisions every time I go to New York.
Oh, it's the worst.
2019. Right now, they're giving away, just here you go, get a free HD security camera. You hear me sing the praises of Simply Safe Home Security on the show every week. It's the best home security, period. With Simply Safe, you'll get everything you need to keep your home safe. Entry sensors, motion sensors, smart lock, video doorbell, security cameras, you name it. Plus, Simply Safe offers 24/7 professional monitoring with police dispatch that's 3.5 times faster. I know it's Simply Safe's founder, Chad.
Great guy.
Oh, Chatty.
We've known him for a while now. Mm-hmm. We're like, Chad, good job with the Simply Safe. He's like, hey, thanks, man. It's the least I could do to help people out, is what Chad says.
Yep.
Simply Safe is the home security I trust. So if you've been waiting or on the fence about getting a security system, don't wait. Go to simplysafe.com/Pat to get 25% off your system plus a free security camera. This is the best deal you'll ever find on home security. Order now to get this exclusive offer. 25% off free security camera. Simplysafe.com/Pat. SIMPLISAFE.com/Pat. It's an app. You use cameras. Bing, bang, boom. You're secure. Way to go. 10:35 Tuesday, November 19th. We'll be back on the other side of the Pat McAfee Show. Just got tweeted a little stat that altitude and hydration go hand in hand. Hope you get well soon. Cheetah, hashtag speed kills. Randy Moss just tweeted the show.
Oh,
Nice.
Randy, favorite player growing up, by the way. Randy Moss was my favorite football player growing up. He and Deion Sanders were the two that I liked. Very similar to kickers and punters. But he did predict that a hamstring was going to be blown in the game. When he said it, I was like, very aggressive of you to say that. And then whammy, it happens. I'm like, very intelligent of you to say what you just said, Mr. Randy Moss. And Schefter said right before the game started, he said, look for LaShawn McCoy. Last week was load management. This week could be a load game for him. Scores the first touchdown for the Chiefs. Now, granted, he didn't get the ball that much, but he did make an impact. Good for those ESPN folks talking good about people. Kyle Williams joined us from the middle of nowhere, Louisiana. He's duck hunting currently. Good for him, living and enjoying his retired life. We think there's a guy that's going to be entering his retired life soon. And we don't love it. We thought about it this morning. We talked about it this morning. Todd, we don't like this.
No, not at all. You hate to see it happen to the greats.
Because whenever you see something that you've grown up watching kind of maybe falter a little bit or fall from grace, both outside of his profession and inside of his profession, it's kind of tough. And I think the writing was on the wall for this guy when he refused to move to the new home of the team he was playing for. He said, to hell with it, I'll just drive 3 hours every day to and from work. You got it. I think it might be the end of Phillip Rivers after this season, and I do not like it. And when I say that, a lot of people might think that I'm being hyperbolic.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say that accurately?
Hyperbolic, close enough.
I heard it both ways.
The chamber?
Attaboy Zeke.
Anytime.
No, not that. It's hyperbole.
Never heard that way.
Satirical. But I'm not. I loved the way Phillip Rivers played football and attacked the game. Never swore, but talked trash. Was always chirpy, but somehow professional. Had 700 kids, still played football great. If he would have ended up on a team that had a bigger city that was more media friendly, he would have been one of the most polarizing figures in the history of sports. He would have been a guy that people either absolutely loathed or absolutely loved. I happen to fall into the absolutely loved department. There's a lot of people that loathe guys that talk a lot and are fiery and feisty. They think you should just do what you do and then be professional and get off the field. That wasn't Phillip Rivers' way. Phillip Rivers was a guy who had a chip on his shoulder at all times. Phillip Rivers was a guy that would get in the face of people at all times. And last night on national television, in a moment that his teams normally get going and get good in recent history, he threw 4 picks. It's been a rough year. Against Oakland earlier this year, he threw a couple picks late. He hasn't re-signed for next year. His contract is up. There has been 0 conversations about negotiations happening in the public eye. He hasn't moved to Los Angeles. He's still in San Diego driving to practice. It feels as if Phillip Rivers' time in the NFL is over. Oh.
No.
I hate it. You know what, though? It just happens. I'm an older guy. I'm not as good as I once was. At anything.
Hey, but I'm as good
Except
once.
sleeping. I'm better at sleeping.
Hey, I'm as good once as I ever was.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And right now, I just want to read off some things about Phillip Rivers. So all you people that say, he's not a Hall of Famer, can just shut your pie hole.
Shut it.
Let's talk about him in college at NC State. He was a member of the Wolfpack. Wolfpack. This is what they do, by the way. He started an NC record 51 consecutive games. Tough guy. Country boy, tough guy. 4 bowl games, 3 wins. Almost as good as Pat White in bowl games. Still got 3 wins. Finished with 13,484 career passing yards. That's second all-time at the time. 95 career touchdown passes, 8th all-time. ACC Athlete of the Year. ACC Offensive Player of the Year. His number was retired before his final home game at NC State. His number was retired while he was at school. That's how good he was as a Wolfpack member. How? Then he gets the NFL. Currently on season 16. He was the 4th overall pick to the Giants, and the Giants traded for Eli Manning to San Diego because Mr. Manning said, we ain't doing this East Coast bias on a West Coast team type situation. Get him out of here. So Phillip Rivers finds a home for the San Diego Chargers. What has he gone on to do, you ask? How about throw for 57,825 yards, which is 6th all time? How about throw 389 touchdowns, which is 6th all time? How about throw 4,786 completions, which is 7th all time? Go to a Pro Bowl 8 times and have a career record of 122 in 97. 16 years at a position that is very difficult to keep for less than a year. Multiple records to be had. Multiple Pro Bowls. Led his team to an AFC championship. That's why I got drafted, by the way, because Cyphers dominated. Hunter Smith. Forgot his name. That guy talked trash on me in a church, by the way, so to hell with him.
Pretty forgettable name.
Well, he was Hunter the punter, actually. It's actually not a forgettable name.
I didn't know.
He did. I actually liked him, by the way, for a long time.
Very forgettable music.
Oh, he didn't deserve that. I like that he's doing music. But he talked trash about me in Jesus' house.
Bit hypocritical.
No.
Just a bit.
Anyways, Cyphers did very well in that game. Phillip Rivers was a thorn in Indianapolis Colts' backside for a long time. When I got here, people did not like Phillip Rivers just the same way they didn't like Tom Brady. I mean, that's a real thing. And the only way you get that type of hate, by the way, is if you're good. Phillip Rivers has had a hell of a career both at college and in the NFL. Phillip Rivers has lived in a world that wasn't covered by the media much because he was down in the lower left part of the country. Phillip Rivers deserves to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think first ballot. But, hey, if we get down to that second, third ballot and Phillip Rivers' name on there, you're going to have to get him about 10 to 20 more tickets than the other person because of the amount of kids he's had and stuff like that, and the way he lives. But I think the old bolo tie wearing, Southern boy chirping, gun slinging quarterback from NC State deserves to get in the Hall of Fame. I am a fan, Phillip Rivers. And even though last night was tough and the rest of the year probably going to be much of the same, we appreciate your services to the NFL. Does anybody disagree with that?
No,
I
you
don't
played
think
16 seasons at the level he has. I think you're a Hall of Fame player. And it's so weird that he never won a Super Bowl because they had good teams. It was just
Antonio Gates, he had a basketball player that they turned into one of the best tight ends.
LT had an
man.
MVP season.
Vincent Jackson.
Oh my! All those, and Phil's still playing. By the way, all those people have now gone on into television. He's still playing at a high level. Still has that competitive. Still driving 3 hours to work. I mean, that is just something that needs to be said. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Not first ballot, but I do believe he's a Hall of Famer.
Could be.
I don't think he's done either.
What do you mean?
I think he's done in L.A. But
Oh, you're saying there's a shortage of quarterbacks out there. Right now there's a lot of teams that need one, i.e. Chicago Bears, who come out and say it wasn't because of his play, it was because of his hip pointer that we allowed him to play a quarter and 3/4 of another one in the game-tying moment that we needed down 10. We took him out for that just strictly because the hip pointer that happened 2 quarters ago.
or I could see him like if Carolina does move on from Cam, him going there and maybe mentoring, even though he's not a mentor type guy.
He's not doing that.
No, but he could go
Carolina, though.
Go to Carolina and Kyle Allen and Will Grier watch how it's done. It's good for the organization.
I just don't know if Phillip Rivers is going to be a good backup anywhere. He seems like
1,000 kids.
No, I'm not saying as a backup.
You want to
I'm
move
saying he goes there to
cross-country?
start.
Oh, really? With Christian McCaffrey back there as well? Put Kyle Allen on the bench after he had an incredible rookie year?
Hey, you showed some glimpses, but hey, let's sit and learn a little bit.
Oh, it's redshirt our second year.
I don't know. I think
Or a third year.
leaving San Diego would be tough. Once you get accustomed to that lifestyle and the weather's that nice, like I wouldn't want to go play in Chicago or
Yeah, but
Carolina.
if he still wants to play, then his options are going to be limited.
Yeah, but what if he's been there long enough that he forgets what it's like to not have that weather? Which is going to, sometimes you can get a bit content, a bit comfortable. He doesn't know that right now there's no sun for the next 5 months
Exactly.
in Indianapolis, Indiana.
I think
the next 5 months there is 0 vitamin D flying around the air.
Right. I think he's aware enough too, and he's a big enough gamer where he realizes like, hey, I don't have it like I used to. Like he used to spin it. He could, like putting it like Rodgers would, like in shoe boxes. It looks like he's throwing a medicine ball.
I don't know if someone pays you the money though, you'll go.
It does. I mean, they show those close zoom ins of his face.
like he's throwing a medicine ball.
He is grunting and gritting his teeth for like 8-yard slants. It's like, Phil, you just, I mean.
Well, Eli, by the way, Eli and he go hand in hand, right? Because of the San Diego, New York trade. Eli, end of the road. Phillip Rivers, he outlasted Eli, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in his eyes, not that he would think this is me being much more petty than him. This is me being much more petty than Phillip Rivers, I'd assume.
He might think this.
Phil doesn't seem like a petty guy.
Oh,
I think on the field and how you actually are
Yeah.
are two very different things. Like I think some people have to flip a switch and become an entirely new character whenever they get into a world or a realm with people watching them. Right? I think like there's actual people that have to change who they are to be able to operate in football NFL environment. I think that's true. So I don't know how Phil is, but if I'm Phil and I'm a little bit petty, I remember the whole Eli situation that happened, and boy, whenever Eli got benched for Geno Smith a couple years ago, I'm sure Phil was like, "Oh, that's a shame." You know what I mean? Like I'm sure that happened, and then now that it's happening again, I'm sure Phil. I don't know. If I'm Phil Rivers at night, though, I'm like, you know what? I outlasted the guy that they traded me for, that they thought I was not as good as.
Super Bowl rings don't matter
Well,
against the best franchise.
you got to find something to.
If he wins a big one or two, you're talking about the best QB class of all time too in 2004 with Ben, Eli, and Phillip,
Oh yeah, everybody forgets about Ben Roethlisberger from Miami.
and JP Losman.
Great player.
Buffalo Bills. Poor Buffalo Bills.
What's a JP Losman?
Exactly.
Tulane. Good
Really down there in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah. He
Good
could
hair.
really
Had
sling.
good hair.
What does he do now?
Not
I
play
don't know.
quarterback.
He got beat up pretty good when he went to the Bills. He took a lot of sacks.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. He washed out after like 2 years, I think.
Who drafted him? Bill
Bills.
Polian?
The Buffalo Bills.
Who was the GM up there?
I don't know.
No, Bill Polian was with the Colts already.
Doug
by this
Whaley?
point.
I don't know.
Wasn't a great pick, nonetheless.
Ben Roethlisberger, though, slid, right? Because he was at such a small school
14,
there.
11.
So you're saying Roethlisberger, Eli, Phillip Rivers, same draft class quarterbacks? That's really good. Another one, Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning, Matt Hasselbeck.
Wow.
Huh? Go ahead and put them up against next to anybody.
Yeah.
Who was last year? Kyler Murray and Danny Dimes. That has potential now. Kyler Murray, if he can figure it out, which it seems like he has, could be very good for a long time. He has something that Lamar has. Not as much because he's smaller than Lamar, but he's been winning some games, putting up a lot of points.
He's impressive.
Yeah.
He is very
looking
impressive.
good.
Can he stay healthy? I don't know. He wears Carhartt beanies with the hair sticking out the front of it in his post-game interviews. That was an interesting moment. I think Kyler Murray lives in his own little world over there, and I think he's going to be potentially very good. I like Danny Dimes. I think he's going to be okay if they can figure out to put a team around him. I don't know if they'll do that.
Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Bro, that offensive line laughing in his face.
Yikes.
He came over a little bit condescending, though. He was like, hey, what can I do to make you guys better at your jobs is basically what he said. And they just looked at him, stared at him, and almost laughed in his face. It's tough because you hear stories of like veteran quarterbacks being demanding on their guys. But those veteran quarterbacks weren't doing that when they were rookies, right?
Right.
You kind of have to like work your way into it. But if you're being thrusted into a position of leadership very early, that has to be a fine balance. Correct? At Ohio State, I'm assuming Dwayne Haskins was the man, homie. Then you get into the Redskins organization, it's like, hey man, like you have done nothing here. We've done nothing as a whole, and you've done less than us. It is hard for that. I obviously was a bottom of the totem pole at West Virginia, so going into an NFL locker room was completely cool with me, just being like, yeah, whatever you guys, you needed me to go buy what for you? Yeah, you got it, whatever. Whenever you're a superstar and then you have to go in and kind of earn your stripes again, that has to be a tough position, very tough position to be in, and that's a fine balance. And it did not look as if Dwayne Haskins' teammates are respecting the way he's doing it thus far.
A superstar that thought he was such a superstar that he could charge money to people to go to his draft party.
Yeah, I mean, opening up the Venmo to watch yourself slide down the draft board is an interesting move. I think we should almost commend the entrepreneurialism of that. But you're about to get drafted in the first round of the NFL. Maybe you're focused on other things as opposed to just trying to get some cash. But let's assume that might have been his people around him too. Like, hey, why don't we open it up? We got this whole restaurant. If people want to come in, they can pay. Yeah, let's do it. It just looked bad. It all appeared bad. And then whenever he wasn't around Case Keenum at the beginning of the season, instead of trying to learn, it made it come off as if he was a bit smug, knew everything. And then this thing with the offensive line was damning evidence. I mean, that is not good look. He's going to have to get him right. But let's assume that entire team's turning over at the end of the year anyways. If Dwayne Haskins might not even be their quarterback next year.
If the lineman shoved him over, like, how bad does that look for Mr. Haskins?
What if nerd? hey, maybe make the check to a different play that doesn't set us up for complete failure. I bet you there were some O-linemen that were like, oh, what do you want us to actually tell you what you can do better? Let's see. Complete some passes, maybe be a little bit more mobile. How about this? Look professional whenever you're in a huddle. How about this? Maybe make the check that you're supposed to make so that we're not in a bad position against a said blitz that's coming. How about you do those things? You ever think about that? Oh, okay, I got it. Get the hell out of here. What if that's what an answer is?
They know he's Dan Snyder's guy, so none of them can stand him. They know that's like Dan Snyder's like hand-picked savior. So.
And by the way, middle of a game, things weren't going well. That might not be the depiction of how it is off the field. But boy, that looked bad for Dwayne Haskins. Maybe he can figure it out. That's going to be a whole new team around him next year. Maybe it can be good. 10:55 here, coming back on the other side. Lot of chatter. And Kyle Rudolph. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. No clue why.
It's the perfect occasion for middle vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is, Chase Rice. I appreciate you. He is on tour. If he's in your town, go check him out. It'll be a good show. Joining me now on the casting couch, Todd McComas, DJ Nick Maroldo, Tone Diggs, Ty Schmidt, Jason McAfee, Zito, Foxy, and Gumpy's on the phones, which we will get to after the first break. Charles, Bill, Robert, Ryan, Jacob. Can't wait to chat with you all. It is Tuesday, November 19th. It's Tuesday in November, which means what? It means that the College Football Playoff Committee will be giving their rankings tonight. Who's in? Who's out? Who's being disrespected? Last week, I thought the Minnesota Gophers were being disrespected by the College Football Playoff Committee because Penn State in the first rankings was number 4. Minnesota beats them outright, straight up, and somehow doesn't move into the top 4. They make the biggest jump in college football playoff history, but they didn't move into the top 4 or 5 or 6, which I was like, wait a minute now. What does the Big Ten have to do, I said? Well, what the Big Ten did was cannibalize itself. Iowa, Kinnick, and Knight beat the Gophers. No bueno. They're going to drop out. I'm sorry, College Football Playoff Committee, for coming after you because I thought the Minnesota Gophers were going to be able to go into Kinnick and potentially win by 60.
Yeah, I mean, you were right, though. They should have been in the top 4. They just so happened to face a generational team, with talent off the charts. Kinnick at Night. We all know what happens. They didn't stand a chance. Go Hawks.
So, this particular week, I have come off of my high horse of yelling at the College Football Playoff Committee, and I've decided to help them out.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to give them my top 4 before they go into meet to release their top 4. And if they would like to use any of my stuff, I can be the 14th or the 13th member in the committee today.
That'll be a huge help for them.
I'm nice. I'm a nice guy. College analyst. That's what I am. People helping people here. You already got 12 to 13. Nobody ever gives us a straight answer, by the way. We talked to Kirk Herbstreit today on the podcast, Pat McAfee Show 2.0. Riveting conversation about his whole life. And then I asked about the college football stuff that I don't fully understand, mostly the playoff committee. He said, well, it's like 12 to 13 people who used to be ADs and athletic presidents of schools and players and coaches. And they get in, I'm like, 12 to 13. So nobody really knows what the exact, if the voice of college football, Kirk Herbstreit, doesn't know exactly, I'm assuming nobody knows. But I would like to help you 12 or 13 because I know you listened to my rant last week about, hey, you're going to make better decisions in there. Let me help you out with that. Number 4, in my college football rankings for the playoff committee to use if they would like. The NFL already took a lot of my ideas and instituting a college football playoff committee. You can use these ideas if you'd like. Number 4, Georgia. I'm saying that strictly because I don't know much about them, but boy, what a win last weekend. And they were already in at number 4 anyways. Let's assume that they've done more research than I have on the Georgia team and that it's a damn good team. And Jake Fromm, State Farm, is a player. A couple years ago, wins a natty almost as a freshman, comes back now. He's playing well. I got Georgia at 4. Go Bulldogs. By the way, Alabama's Tua getting hurt. They got a kid now who got arrested for a DUI a little bit over a year ago, cried in his mugshot. Let's see how that works out.
Can't win with that.
He's a kid. I potentially cried at 18 too. If I'm an Alabama football player, I think my entire life has come crashing down. Maybe I'm crying into, a pillow at night. Mugshot's tough, though. Everybody's going to see that. He learned from it. He's growing from it. And maybe that particular situation will actually make him a more mentally tough player on the field, filling in for a once-in-a-generation talent like Tua Tagovailoa.
Well said.
That's the elephant. Roll Tide.
Yep.
Number 3, I have the reigning, defending, undisputed national champion from last year, the Clemson Tigers. That was a tiger sound by Tone Diggs. which I appreciate and respect. But the sound that you hear a lot of whenever the Clemson Tigers play is celebration. And that celebration is coming from fans that wear the purple, orange, and white. That team is starting to click. Trevor Lawrence maybe digressed a little bit during the offseason. Maybe it was hard for him to continue to build in what was already being titled the best NFL prospect in years quarterback title that he had after his freshman season, where he wins a national championship. But now he's back in it. They're taking care of him. The defense flies around. They got 5-star recruits everywhere. I like the Clemson Tigers. Number 3, everybody knows they're going to be in there too because the ACC is Clemson Tigerville through and through.
Mm-hmm. It stinks.
I've talked to other ACC coaches that have said, aside from Clemson, this league has a lot of parity. Any team can beat any team. Then you ask another ACC coach, like, how do you feel about the state of the ACC? They go, aside from Clemson, it has a lot of parity. So everybody, even in the ACC, knows that team is just right now an unstoppable force. Old Dabo Sweeney somehow recruiting the hell out of these players and turning them into superstars. Trevor Lawrence, who looks like that girl from TikTok a little bit, but he also looks like what's potentially going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer in the NFL. He can sling it, he's athletic, and he is large. That is something you don't find a lot of. Normally, if you're that big and can throw well, if you're very smart, you can be a great NFL quarterback. He can do that. Normally, if you're that big, you can't run that well. He can do that. He checks all the boxes. He's going to be great. Unless he, completely starts hating football all of a sudden and bounces out.
They met this weekend. It was a nice moment. Him and his lookalike.
That is a nice moment. By the way, Trevor Lawrence, dreamy-looking dude.
Oh, yeah. He's Hollywood.
The flowing locks, the incredible ability. That's why I thought it might have been difficult for him to stay focused in the offseason at college, away from his parents after just winning the national championship and being the guy.
Yeah.
I thought, hey, that attractive. If he has any bit of a lack of discipline, this could be a great spring for him.
He's tired all the time.
Off the field.
Yeah.
It could have been a great spring.
Swimming in it.
Oh.
Whoa, he's a longtime girlfriend, Todd. I mean, he's pretty faithful.
No, we're talking about good
That's
times.
discipline.
Yeah, we're talking about swimming in good times.
Oh, yeah. Obviously.
These are college kids.
Come on.
Student athletes.
Human.
Student
human. Number 2, I have. This one's going to shock some people. This one might put the college football playoff committee into a whirlwind. Number 2, LSU, go Tigers.
Whoa.
Yeah. I have LSU at number 2 strictly because I do believe Joe Burrow is the Heisman winner. I do believe that offense has become something that's must-see TV. I do believe that Coach O has transformed the LSU Tigers back into the swag Tigers that they were once before. The celebration on Alabama's field, the talking to the recruits that were there to come to LSU, the conversation that was broadcasted in the locker room afterwards. Coach O has the entire state and that entire locker room believing what they should believe, that they're better than every other team. I like LSU. I think they're the number 2 team in the country, though. They gave up 614 yards to Rich Rodriguez at Ole Miss. 614 yards in one game they gave up. That is a lot of yards. And you look at that stat line alone, that can be a bit alarming, especially whenever you get into a playoff where, yes, I understand the SEC is a tough place to play, and I understand that that's where the games best live and die. But when you get into the playoff, if you run into a buzzsaw offense, and you've already given up 614 yards in one game before, so people have already seen what your holes are in a lot of different fashions, Joe Burrow's going to have to keep up. I'm not 100% sure he will. That's why I have them at 2. And number 1, this weekend's host of College Game Day, Columbus, Ohio, Ohio State Buckeyes. OH.
Ohio.
They lose Urban Meyer. Ryan Day comes in as a first-year head coach. They haven't missed a beat. They've even gotten better somehow. Every week he has them ready. They dominate. They were number 1 in the initial polls. Then they win by 60. They drop to number 2 somehow. They lose Chase Young for a couple games. He's back. That didn't slow them down at all. This team has the best player on the offensive side of the ball, Justin Fields, they say, and they have the best player on the defensive side of the ball, Chase Young. I'm I'm not sure they'd give up 614 yards to a team, but they might put up 614 yards on every team they play. I like the Ohio State Buckeyes. I can't wait to get to Columbus this weekend with College Game Day, and I can't wait to feel that atmosphere in the horseshoe over there for Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. There's my top 4 college football playoff committee. You're welcome. What are people going to hate about that?
They're gonna hate the top 2, I think, a little bit.
LSU, they're going to say should be 1.
I think they're going to give LSU a break because they just beat number 9 Florida, like number 7 Auburn, and then number 3 Alabama. So if they give us,
by the way, that's not a break. That's hey, we got some obvious, but they could be wrong in their rankings. By the way, having all those people ranked at those places, I think Alabama will be 5 or 6 still because nothing has changed really aside from losing your starting quarterback. But I look for them to potentially drop out. But Alabama still has enough talent to win games. Let's assume that they'll be able to do that. And they could be upset city there in the SEC championship.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, with the defense. Like, you give up that many yards, and you're playing against an Ole Miss team who is not very good. I think they're 4-7. You go and play Ohio State, like, it stands to reason that they're going to capitalize a lot more than Ole Miss did.
And by the way, they might potentially put up 1,200 yards on LSU. Yeah. So is Joe Burrow good? Yeah, Joe Burrow is damn good. Are those weapons on the offensive side of the ball talented? But are they going to be able to keep up with whatever the other team does? 614 yards is a lot of yards to be given up.
I completely forgot that Ohio State also gave up 21 points to Rutgers, which has given up like 800 points to any other team.
Yeah, something to think about. I mean, that is something to think about because these are 18 to 22-year-old kids. So it's a chance that they might not show up every single week at their 100%. That's why what Ryan Day has done has been so impressive. First-time head coach, you lose Urban Meyer, the guy that recruited most of these players, and what happens? Nothing. They just pick it up even more. Fields becomes the best player in football. I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch over there in Ohio State. I wish that a school that I was cheering for would be able to do what Ohio State has done through the years. I mean, from Tressel to Urban to this, it's just a nonstop factory of winning football in the middle of Columbus, Ohio, which, by the way, that state loves them, the Buckeyes. Mm-hmm. The Browns are there. The Bengals are there. They don't give a single damn. That is the Buckeye State through and through. In this weekend, College Game Day, we're giving away a massive prize to the best sign that gets on television at ESPN College Game Day. All right. I think we're giving away a suite to the Big Ten Championship. What? Yeah, I think we're going to give away a suite at Lucas Oil Stadium to the Big Ten Championship for Zito's favorite sign that makes it on ESPN College Game Day broadcast.
Let's go.
See, will you take a sign with you from me?
Yeah.
See if I win?
Well, you can go, Diggs.
It's so far away.
It's 3 hours away.
Yeah.
People travel further than that to get to game day. I read a sign the other week that said a guy drove 10 hours to get to College Game Day because his team was on there.
Maybe I will.
That husband and wife, they've been traveling to every location so far.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
By the way, I'm assuming game day in Columbus is going to be outrageous.
It'll be crazy.
2 of the biggest cults in a...
How do we know that the sign was specifically for our contest? Hashtag for the brand on there.
Boom.
Yeah.
There it is. Has to have a hashtag for the brand on the sign. Best sign that gets on College Game Day. We'll give away an entire suite, which I think is 8 to 10 tickets. So if you and your boys or you and your ladies want to make 7 to 8 different signs and get in there, enter. Let's go. By the way, we have not confirmed that suite. If there's any available, we'll give away. If not, we'll figure it out with SeatGeek. We'll give you 8 front rows or 8 lower. Yeah. We'll give you 8 to 10 really good tickets.
You're going to be in a good
tickets.
spot.
Yeah, you're either going to get a suite, or if those are already sold out, you'll get 8 to 10 premium primo spots.
Bingo.
At the Big Ten Championship.
That's awesome.
All right, let's go. Bring it. Bring it. By the way, I'll be there. So, guess who's back? Back again. Pat is back.
Back again.
Tell a friend.
Dang it.
Hiring the right person takes time. By the way, I said on top of that boat that I wasn't going to be invited back to College Game Day. I thought there was a chance that was going to happen.
It was a safe assumption.
It was.
You were breaking the rules.
A lot of old whites tweeting me, too.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed Game Day for 25 years without McAfee shtick.
McAfee shtick's getting old. I'm done with it.
They even tweet, like, at ESPN.
Yeah.
There's only a few of them, but I see them all, by the way. I would like to let you know. Hey, you old whites, I want to let you know. I see it, okay, Boomer?
See, I was under the impression you said that because you thought you were going to break your neck when you dove into the Brazos.
Very well could have.
All these things. But they're bringing me back, which I'm excited for. I can't wait to see what I do in Columbus. I can't wait to see what I do over there.
It's gonna be epic. I mean, that place is incredible every Saturday anyway when there's a home game.
Yeah.
Jeez, this is gonna be
Well, there's symbols of marijuana.
another
leaf,
level.
So.
Tony.
It's not accurate.
Come on, Tony.
What do you mean?
Come on. Tony.
Come on, Tony. Tony.
What are you doing?
How's it not accurate?
It's NCAA.
So it's a Buckeye.
Oh, the peanut butter with the chocolate covered?
Hiring the right person takes time, Diggs. Time that I don't have now, but I'll find. I'm joking. I can't fire you. I don't know how to do that. I did it one time.
I think you just say it.
I took a guy to lunch. Yeah, probably don't need you anymore, man. I wish we did. You stole a camera.
Yeah, you had cause.
You stole a camera. You did this. You did that. It's like we try to have a good time here. Keep the camera, by the way. Just don't come back. That was what, like the first week we were around, first week of our existence.
Yeah. You should have just done a Vince McMahon.
You're fired. Have the Kiss My Ass Club and everything. That would have been wild. That was the first week.
Yeah.
I never went to a business class or anything. I don't know if they teach you how to tell somebody they shouldn't steal from their profession, their employment.
I think you did it much nicer than most places.
Yeah,
too.
you did.
Bought him a nice lunch.
I did. I bought him a lunch.
Pat on the back. You're going to be great. Just can't be great here.
Hey, wherever you go next, by the way, theft probably leave that one at home.
Think twice.
Rob from your neighbors, not from your place of employment.
Yeah.
And don't take a camera from places that have a bunch of cameras on at all times. And then whenever you on the dry erase board, I went through his entire story, and it felt like it was Dateline. So you said, okay, so you saw the camera. Okay, let me write that down. Saw the camera. What time was that roughly? Okay, this time. Then this happens, and this happens, and this happens. And then you catch him in a moment where his story doesn't add up. And then, Todd, you did this a lot.
Yeah.
That is such a good feeling. Where it's like, all right, so this
Got
thing
him.
happened. And then you start circling him, and then you start doing this, and then he's still explaining the story, and then you just show him the footage. It's like, all right, now that we got all this out of it, do you know we had this? See you later. What a dum-dum.
Ace up the sleeve.
Yeah, we got video evidence. Hiring the right person takes time. Don't hire a guy that steals.
No.
I think that's what we learned. That's why I'm so scared to hire again, by the way. You never know what you're getting.
You never know. People have secrets.
Well, that's why you need to use a place that dives deep into the resume, past the resume, to find the perfect person to bring into your business that is growing and will continue to grow with good hires. Urgency can be your enemy when it comes to finding candidates that are truly meant for your business. That's why LinkedIn is the best place to post your job. LinkedIn job screens candidates with the hard and soft skills you're looking for so you can hire the right person fast. Things like collaboration, creativity, adaptability. LinkedIn looks beyond the work skills and puts your job post in front of qualified candidates who match your business requirements perfectly. So our business requirements would be, can't be a kleptomaniac. Has to have solid, positive attitude. Has to be able to work well with others. Has to be able to work hard. Also, funny, good eater, very much appreciated.
Can take a joke.
That's how LinkedIn makes sure your job post is seen by the people you want to hire. People with the skills, qualifications, and other interests that will help you grow your business. It's no wonder a person is hired every 8 seconds with LinkedIn, and why companies rated LinkedIn Jobs the #1 hiring platform for delivering quality hires. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. Just visit linkedin.com/Pat. Again, that's linkedin.com/Pat to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions obviously apply. Go find the right person for you. The NFL Power Rankings have come out from ESPN, and I'm not happy about it. 11-19, we're back on the other side. This is Pat McAfee Show. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I am the man that the show's named after. I kicked balls for a while. Now I say dumb things into a microphone, being joined by the boys here in Indianapolis, Indiana. I gave my college football playoff rankings before the College Football Playoff Committee could get to it this evening to help them out. I feel like we very much so did. We put LSU at 2, Ohio State at 1, strictly because LSU gave up 614 yards to Rich Rodriguez's Ole Miss offense. So for me, I feel like if they were to run into Ohio State's offense would be able to do damage. A team that's already put up 78 points in a game, they're going to keep it moving. Alabama not in the top 4, obviously, not only because of the loss, but also because Tua's out there. Got Georgia in there. They lost to South Carolina and were close with Kentucky. That was weeks and weeks ago. They're potentially a whole different team getting hot. And I openly admit it, I don't know much about them. But let's assume the College Football Playoff Committee is going to put them in there because they were in there last week.
For sure.
Something I hold near and dear to my heart is judging other people that judge things. Right? I think I hold that very near and dear to my heart. Judgment of the judgers is something I enjoy doing. Yeah. At ESPN, they judge the NFL every single week, make a top 10 power ranking. That came out this morning. Now it's time to go through it, to decipher what they were thinking and how they're feeling, and if they're completely wrong or not. Do these people know their ass better than a hole in the ground? Number 10, Houston. They don't. They lost by 100. Now, granted, if they play Thursday night and beat the Colts, then you could put them in there. But they just lost by 100 to the Ravens. And yes, the Ravens are playing at a different speed than everybody else. They are playing a different game of football than everybody else. But come on, guys. The Colts just got their MVP quarterback back. What happens when the Colts beat Houston in Houston on Thursday night with Jacoby Brissett healthy and back? If T.Y. Hilton's playing Houston, we have a problem. That has not been confirmed, but they got Houston at 10. I like the way Houston plays football. I like Deshaun Watson. I like all that stuff, but they're not going to win the AFC South. Colts are going to win the AFC South. Jacoby's back.
Thank you.
Number 9, the Dallas Cowboys. Obligatory Dallas Cowboy talk. Dak Prescott leads the NFL in offense going into Week 12. Dak Prescott is a guy who's been having to look over his shoulder at all times on whether or not a new contract's coming. Dak Prescott's a guy who could sign for $150 million at any given week. Potentially thought it was going to happen earlier in the season. Potentially thought it was going to happen in the bye week. Now we're post that. People are saying maybe a franchise tag is going to happen. It doesn't matter. He's been balling out as a 4th-round draft pick for a while now. That defense gave up a lot of points to the Detroit Lions that were led by Jeff Driscoll. Is that going to be their weakness? They're highly touted. Rod Marinelli, Richard defense, I believe is his name, with a K, K-R-I-S. He's the guy doing play calling. Sorry, I got that wrong if I did. It's Rod Marinelli still cooking back there. That highly touted, very fast defense that can fly sideline to sideline. Sean Lee, all-pro, is a backup on that defense. Are they going to be able to keep up? If Dak Prescott can continue to score a lot of points, is Jeff Driscoll an anomaly situation, or is this going to be the regular for the Dallas Cowboys? We're going to find that out. They got a big game this weekend against a team that has won a lot of games for a long time. Going to learn a lot about the Dallas Cowboys. Number 8, Kansas City Chiefs. Lost Tyreek Hill potentially last night. Randy Moss called it in the pregame. He said, watch them hamstrings tonight. First quarter, Tyreek Hill pulls a hamstring. Altitude and hydration go hand in hand is what Randy Moss said. How long will Tyreek Hill be out? You saw that offense without Tyreek Hill earlier in the year. Yes, they found a new guy in Hardman. Yes, they have weapons on top of weapons. Tyreek Hill is dynamic, though. Going into the playoffs, going into late season, Patrick Mahomes would obviously love to have Tyreek Hill on the football field. Patrick Mahomes is running around pretty well, by the way, for a guy that dislocated his kneecap just a few weeks ago. LaShawn McCoy had a load management week off last week, scored the first touchdown last night. Travis Kelce, always going to be good. But can that defense, who looked good last night, Tyrann Mathieu almost had 2 picks, had 1 for sure. Will they be able to withstand and keep it up as they go forward? Maybe, possibly. Excited for the Kansas City Chiefs, who have lost games that nobody thought they would lose, including to the Colts. And they now are going to get back on the winning side of things. Let's see how they do. Number 7, the Minnesota Vikings. We got Kyle Rudolph joining us in 12 minutes. We'll talk to him about what happened in that locker room. Talked to Dalvin Cook last week about they had a kumbaya after the public outcry by Adam Thielen. Stephon Diggs misses a practice. The Kirk Cousins show gets 1 million downloads. All these things happen this 1 week, and their offense since then has been unstoppable. Zimmer's going to have a good defense. You know that, even if they're down some games. Let's see what the Vikings can do the rest of the year. And primetime Kirk Cousins is the only guy that shows up now. Wins in Jerry World, decides not to play the first 3 quarter of an earlier scheduled game, shows up in the 4th down like 20, gets him a big win. That's good wherewithal. That's good grit. Welcome back, Kirk Cousins. We'll talk to Big Country here soon. Number 6, New Orleans Saints. Talked to DeMario Davis. He said that team, they feel as if they have to be able to keep up with what the offense has been able to do. They want to step it up. Big-time turnovers last week against the Buccaneers. Have the Saints found something in Latavius Murray as well, with obviously Alvin Kamara cooking. Drew Brees is back. Offensive line's doing well. They lost to the Falcons, which was deemed the Falcons Super Bowl. What's going to happen with the Saints? Drew Brees always feels like he's in every single game, as do I watching it. Sean Payton also had Jordan 1 lows on, white and gold, during the game. Those hurt your pinky toe a little bit because of the stiffness, but those are swagged out. Good for Sean Payton. Number 5, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Jones, potential MVP candidate that nobody's talking about. Devontae Adams is back and taking shots at commentators on the internet, which I find very hilarious. Matt LaFleur and the boys brought in a lot of money on the defensive side of the ball. Feels like it's paying off, and Aaron Rodgers is about to flourish in that offense as we get down the stretch. I like the Green Bay Packers a lot. Not only because Aaron Rodgers is a personal friend of mine, but because the way they've been playing football has been one that's smart, efficient, and electric. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to be the guy that carries the entire city of Green Bay every single week. They got other options, including Aaron Jones. Number 4, Seattle. Russell Wilson, obviously good at football. They're going to do well. Number 3, San Francisco. Did they get exposed? Or is San Francisco going to be the team that has been dominant on the defensive side of the ball and the offense keeps it moving through the playoffs here? They're obviously going to make the playoffs. They started out red hot. They didn't really play anybody. Then they played somebody and they looked damn good, but couldn't get the win against Russell Wilson. What will the 49ers legacy be this year? Kyle Shanahan, big brain, that whole team. Let's see what they get going. They're ranked at number 3. Number 2, the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson. The anomaly. The unicorn. The incomparable offensive weapon right now that Harbaugh has built a team around to utilize his assets to the tenfold. 3 tight ends. So they're just more offensive line, big bodies in there. Good protection. The D-line has no clue what to do. Do we try to stop the run? We talked to Kyle Williams. Do you try to stop the run? Well, then there's no pressure on the quarterback, so he can sit back and make passes in the buckets that he's been throwing. And then if you try to get pressure on the passer, okay, that opens up lanes, and he's out and gone. If you bring a blitz, they got numerous tight ends to just dump it off to. It seems like it is, and Orlovsky says it's indefensible right now. Let's assume somebody figures it out, but damn, it doesn't. I hope not, because it's a lot of fun to watch. Number 2 team in the NFL, Baltimore Ravens. And number 1, they say, the New England Patriots. New England Patriots are 9-1. They lost to the Baltimore Ravens. The defense has been carrying them. Bill Belichick's big brain has been working well, but the offense hasn't figured it out yet. We all assume they'll figure it out. Let's assume the squirrel, Julian Edelman, and handsome Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels get on the same page and get things cooking. New offensive line seems to be a problem. Tom Brady looked a little bit rattled against the Eagles, and they still got to win. You have to keep them at top until they're not. The only problem I have with this is you don't have the Indianapolis Colts in the top 10, which will happen after Thursday night's victory against the Houston Texans in Houston.
You want to guess where they're at?
13, 12.
Exactly 13.
They're at 13. Mm-hmm. Good for me. I didn't see the rest
Bills
of
and Rams ahead of them.
Rams.
The Rams are ahead of the Indianapolis Colts?
Come on.
Come on! Jeez. Gosh. I felt like everything was going too well in this top 10. I felt like they were potentially right. The Rams above the Indianapolis Colts? No Todd Gurley, they're about to give him the ball more. They're going to have to. I'm taking Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts over the Rams 10 times out of 10. In your yard, our yard, your street, our street, the driveway.
Car.
Game on! I'm taking it 10 times out of 10. I don't like that. But Thursday night, let's assume the Colts shock the world on Thursday night in H-Town, Texas.
No problem.
I mean, they're definitely ahead of the Bills, too. The Bills are frauds.
Yeah.
Whoa, we just talked to Kyle Williams. Have a little bit of respect.
He's not on it.
11:34. What's that?
He's not on the team anymore.
Jeez. Let's get to some callers, shall we? Let's get to Charles, Chuck in Chicago. What's going on? Is this Coach Pagano?
Yes. Finally, I have gotten through to the Pat McAfee show, guys. What's going on?
What's up, Coach? What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Colin Kaepernick. I feel like that it was a PR stunt, not for the purposes a lot of people say. I think, from what my sources say, that Colin Kaepernick was talking to the XFL for about a year and a half now, and I think that they use this as a PR stunt to further bring Colin Kaepernick back into the social spotlight. So once the XFL comes around, because Vince McMahon is the greatest promoter ever, so he understood that, took this opportunity because the NFL wanted to, quote-unquote, give Kaepernick a tryout, give him a chance to prove himself, knowing it was kind of like a save face thing. So they took it upon themselves to flip the script. So it seemed like, because at the end of the workout, it seemed like he dropped a promo, like a pro wrestling promo.
We're ready.
Only thing that was missing was the people's eyebrow at the end.
If you smell. Not a bad thought. Maybe he goes to the XFL. I doubt it, though, because I think the way they started this league, they were like, we're going to be everything wholesome. I think they're staying away from politics as much as possible, I think. I mean, I don't know. Kaepernick could bring quite a little pop to the league, though. He's a hell of a player, obviously. He would probably run things. If you look at the AAFL, their biggest problem was they had terrible quarterback. Terrible quarterback play in that AAFL. Made it tough to watch. And the people running the front office had no clue how business works. That's good. You got to pay people.
I think it'd be awesome if you do that, but will it pay him enough?
Be
to
hell of
be
a
worth
ratings
it?
boost. Well, I mean, if he just loves the game and wants to play.
Yeah, there's no way.
Bill in St. Louis. Diggs.
I'm here.
So are we.
Hey, Pat.
What's up, Bill?
Hey, I didn't hear you click me on. But anyhow, on this
See you, Bill.
Robert in Montreal. What's going on, Robert?
How's it going, brother? First things first, I want to congratulate Mr. Ty Schmidt, owner of the Packers, on bringing another Super Bowl championship to Titletown this year.
Hey, congrats, Ty.
Oh, guaranteed.
Hey, way to lock that one in. Guaranteed Super Bowl for the Packers.
The Packers stink.
Good. Ty, is that the...
Yeah, he said the Packers stink.
Ty, congrats on the guarantee, the lock.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what we do Sunday night.
Hey, thank you, Robert, for that. We appreciate that, jinxing the Packers. All right, we got to get to a break. On the other side, an NFC North foe of the Packers, one of the best players in football, Kyle Rudolph, will be joining us. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, 11:42. That song ended perfectly. Joining us now is a man from Notre Dame, an all-pro, Pro Bowler, a two-time captain of the Minnesota Vikings, tight end who's been balling out the last few weeks in his entire career, Kyle Rudolph.
Thanks for having me, Pat.
Kyle, who was Lizzo dating in that locker room?
We're still trying to figure it out. So I had some intel. My wife is determined to figure out who the new man on the Minnesota Vikings was. And I guess in her show at Detroit, she said that he was from Detroit. So one of our other tight ends is from Detroit. And I had to go immediately. And he said, no, it's not him. So I'm still searching.
Well, as soon as you find out, please let the world know. That has been something we've been wondering about for a long time. Something else we've been wondering about with the Minnesota Vikings is, are you guys for real or not? And what happened was early in the year, you guys struggled a little bit. Then a massive public thing happened, which, by the way, no NFL team likes. That is, anytime anything gets outside the locker room, nobody likes. Since then, you guys have been on a tear, yourself included. That offense has absolutely changed. What happened whenever all that happened behind closed doors that made you guys flip a switch and become this offensive juggernaut?
Well, I think, when you're sitting at 2-2 through 4 weeks of the season, our two losses being on the road in the division, you know how this game goes.
Yeah.
If you can just steal one game on the road in the division and win your home games, you're going to be really happy sitting at 4-2 in the division. But at that point in the year, we were 2-2. Weren't meeting expectations. Offensively, we did not play well in Chicago against the Bears, and guys are just frustrated. When you win games, it seems to cure all the frustrations, and when you lose games, those frustrations boil over, and that was just the case of simply not being as good as we thought we could be. And obviously you prefer to keep those things in-house, but they became public, and it didn't mean that we weren't going to address them. And now we've gone on a nice run, and we're sitting where we wanted to be going into the bye week.
Winning cures all in the NFL. That is just the way it goes, both inside the building and outside. In the city, by the way. People that think things about the team will change them if you win, even though those things still exist. But for you guys, it's appeared to be a complete transformation of that offense. And in the last couple of weeks, you've been a main focal point of this offense. You had one of the most beautiful catches I ever did see in the back of the end zone. You're becoming a weapon in this offense with Dalvin Cook moving, Stephon Diggs. You get going. Thielen's out. What is the offense capable of whenever you guys have all your pieces in place?
Well, I think we feel like we're extremely tough to defend when we're balanced. The big key for us on offense is staying ahead of the chains. When we get backed up and it's 1st and 20 or we're in 3rd and longs and, we can't run the football on 3rd down or, we're throwing the ball, we're in 2 minute. That's not how we're built. We need to run the football, and we feel like we have one of the best running backs in the game. And Dalvin's showing that this year, healthy for the first time for a full year. And it's fun to watch him run. It's fun to block for him. And then on the outside, we've got 2 of the best receivers in football. We have 3 tight ends that can make plays. We just feel like we have so many pieces that we force you to defend as a defense when we're not handicapped by down and distance.
Okay, so the thing that everybody was talking about potentially handicapping you was primetime television with Kirk Cousins. Then you guys go into Jerry World and get a monstrous win. Then primetime Kirk Cousins was born. He got a monkey off of his back that everybody else was talking about outside the building that I'm assuming he heard. He had to if he doesn't live under a rock. Then you guys, for the first 3 quarters against the Broncos, look like you're dining out, and then whenever you need to make a play, you, Kirk Cousins, and everybody can flip on that switch. What happened for the little bit early there? Did you guys just come out sleeping, or were the Broncos really taking it to you guys?
Well, I think one of the things that gets overlooked oftentimes in this league, people have a hard time looking past records, and we knew it all week. You know, facing this Denver team that was 3-6, statistically, you're like, this is one of the best defenses in football. And if you just look at their record, you're not going to see that. But, you know, this was a team that we didn't take lightly. You know, they came out and played well in the first half. We did some things, like I said, shooting ourselves in the foot, penalties. We finally hit a big play to Diggs in like the second or third drive, and we ended up going back on a holding penalty, being 2nd and 20. So just little things that kept sputtering out drives. And then at halftime, you're down 20-0. We got the ball coming out knowing that, look, if we go down and score a touchdown, we make this 20-7. Now we got a ball game. And we knew we'd have to play near perfect football in the second half to come back from that deficit. And we ended up scoring, I believe, 4 drives in a row and getting a huge stop at the end of the game from our defense.
What's Kirk Cousins like whenever you guys are down? What's his body language? Is he saying anything? Is he more as a do as I do, not as I say guy? What's he like in those situations?
He doesn't say a whole lot. You know, he's just kind of quiet and confident. And at that point, when you're in the locker room and you're down 20-0, there's not a whole lot to be said.
Hey, guys, let's go, guys. Hey, let's go, guys.
Yeah, like no one likes that guy running around the locker room, you know, hooting and hollering, saying like, "Hey guys, we need to go." It's like, no shit. I mean, you know, clearly, we're down 20-0. So I just think we had a confident group that knew what happened in the first half. Yes, you got to give Denver credit; they have a great defense, but a lot of it had to do with us shooting ourselves in the foot, and then we go out there and, you know, against statistically one of the best red zone touchdown percentage teams on defense, score 4 straight touchdowns.
Okay, Coach Zimmer seems to be an old school hard ass. I've never played for him. I've never really met him. What is he like as a coach, and has he changed since that whole kumbaya thing you guys had to have behind closed doors and winning cures all since then? Has he adapted at all, or has he always been the same guy?
You know, Zim came in here. It's hard to believe that he's been here for 6 years now. And, you know, when he came in, it was his way or the highway. And it really still is. But he, you know, he had that old school mentality, and he grinded us. And at this point now, being with most of this core group of guys for the last 6 years, this year in particular, he's kind of softened up on us a little bit, you know, more from a grinding us down.
Yeah.
Our practice, we're not in full pads every Wednesday anymore. You know, he's all about kind of getting us fresh for Sundays, knowing that, you know, we're not all in our first, second, third years in the league anymore. We got a lot more guys that are in 7, 8, 9, 10, and we need to be fresh on Sundays. And he's more worried about us just being assignment sound, knowing what we got to do, and going out and playing well.
That was interesting to hear you say that, because when I came into the league, it was the last third of the decade of dominance that the Colts had. And Jim Caldwell's big message was like, listen, we're going to be the freshest, fastest, most disciplined team on the field. So if that means we got to cut off some periods on Wednesday or Thursday, we're completely okay with doing that. And you can't do that with a younger team. You could do that with an older team. I didn't even think about that with the Vikings. You guys have a very veteran-led team.
Yeah, and like I said, when Coach Zim first got here, you look at our roster, and, you know, most guys that were out there playing were 6 years or less. And now you look at our roster and this core that we've had together for the last 6 years, now you have everybody 5 to 10 years in the league. So it is a much more veteran presence team. And Coach Zim has a saying that if he takes care of us, we have to take care of him. So the best way to take care of him is by winning football games. And when you're sitting at 8-3 in the bye, you get a little bit more given to you.
I'll give you the week off. Nobody get arrested, or you'll never have a week off ever again. That's
exactly.
I remember those. You guys are in a collision course with the Green Bay Packers. That's just the way it goes when you're in the NFC North. They've been a rival, obviously, for a long, long time. What do you think? Who do you guys play this week?
We're on bye this week.
Okay, so this is a time where you can self-reflect and look ahead. Have you gotten a chance to check out this Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, a revamped Packers team from a hands-off standpoint now that you're on a bye week?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just, from 10,000 feet, look at the NFC as a whole. You got the 49ers, the Seahawks. Obviously, the Packers are in our division. There's a lot of really good teams in the NFC, the Saints down south. So in order for us to keep pace with all those teams in the NFC, we want people to come to US Bank Stadium in January. We feel like we have a huge home field advantage. And in order to do that, the first way to do it is to win your division. So obviously, we know Green Bay is coming here on Monday Night Football in December, a few weeks down the road. But we have to keep stacking wins if we want to keep pace with them and everyone else in the NFC.
What's the self-evaluation on the Vikings in this bye week right now? What are you guys saying about yourselves? What you got to get better? What you got to change coming out of the bye?
Well, I think, we've proven what works for us, and we know our identity. I speak for us as an offense. It all starts with Dalvin. We got to run the football. But then I think this past week was huge for us because teams are smart. They're not going to just let us run the ball up and down the field with Dalvin down the stretch. They know that that's a big part of our offense. They're going to take it away. With that being said, Dalvin was limited to 30 yards last week, and we were still able to rattle off 4 touchdowns and erase a 20-point deficit. So I think that gives our offense a ton of credit to know that, hey, if we have to throw the ball around and we got to win a shootout, then we can do it. We've done it before. With that being said, I think the biggest thing that we're taking on this bye week is just, when you have a week 12 bye week, you're ready for some time off. You need to mentally rest, recover, and also physically.
Yeah, that's a late bye, which is good for the back quarter of the season. But
Correct.
Going into that, like week 7, week 8, you're like, man, we still got another 3-4 weeks here before we get a little off time. Good for you guys.
Our schedule kind of broke up nicely. Our Thursday night game was week 8. And as you know, with Thursday night games, they're kind of like that mini bye. You get those 3 days after on the back end. So that kind of propelled us to this week 12 point now, where now all we have left is December football.
Well, all right, before I let you go here, how cold is it in Minnesota right now?
It's warmed up. We're back above freezing. So we hit a brutal stretch there for a couple weeks. We were even down in the teens at one point, which is about 20 degrees colder than normal November temperatures. But we're back up. I think we're actually supposed to hit the 40s this week, which is just balmy.
Hey, you guys. You ever catch anything in Lake Minnetonka?
Yeah, I have. We did some ice fishing. Actually, when the Super Bowl was up here a couple years back, I went out and did some ice fishing, and that's like the best gig ever. You think about ice fishing, you're like, I would never do it. Like, I'm not going to sit on a lake and freeze my ass off. But it's awesome. You just sit in basically what is a living room in a trailer on the lake with cold beers and your shorts and a T-shirt, and there's like cameras down there showing you where all the fish are.
I didn't know there was cameras. I had a Lake Minnetonka miracle. I don't know if they still talk about it. I sat there for 5 hours in that trailer you're talking about. Couldn't pull a damn thing out of there until my last cast. I pulled a dolphin out. I pulled a marlin out. It's the biggest catch in recorded history on Lake Minnetonka.
I love it.
All right. Hey, man, I appreciate you so much. You're the best. Happy to see you guys thumping out there. The offense looks good. Excited to see you guys take on Green Bay on Monday night and see what you guys got cooking. Enjoy the bye week. Rest the body and the soul, brother.
Thanks, Pat. Always a pleasure to be on.
All right. Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Rudolph. There's me doing me, YP, Sean Latham in there. Pulled out a marlin out of Lake Minnetonka. That's probably, a 4-inch fish I pulled out of there. Waited 5 hours to do it.
Oh, we didn't have cameras.
We didn't have cameras down there telling us where to fish. That's the difference between being one of the best tight ends in the game and being us. Our show is such an average one. I have no clue why you listen. We covered everything we're supposed to today. Dallas Cowboys, by the way, still play football. Obligatory Cowboys talking the second hour. Good for us. Good for you. I have no idea what show's next. I hope it's better than this one. Live from Indianapolis, Indiana! We'll see you in Columbus on Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more heat. Also in Atlanta. What a wild life. You're the absolute greatest for listening and watching. This has been the Pat McAfee Show.